Hey guys, as you know, last time we went over the planets and the dwarf planets and black holes. This time we're going to go back to the solar system, but we're going to talk about the dwarf planet candidates. They have the same criteria as official dwarf planets. They're just not official. I'll remind you what the criteria for planets and dwarf planets are. They need to have enough mass to be round, have an individual orbit around the sun, and they need to orbit the sun with space debris. Now that you know what a dwarf planet candidate is, we're going to start with the first dwarf planet candidate, which is Ixion. We know Ixion as a trans-Neptunian object, which are planetary objects that orbit the sun beyond Neptune. Ixion is one of many red objects in our solar system. Ixion is the fourth largest Plutino after Pluto, Orcus, and 2003 AZ-84. Plutinos are trans-Neptunian objects that orbit the sun beyond Neptune that have a 2 to 3 orbital resonance with planet Neptune. That means for every 3 orbits that Neptune makes, the Plutinos get to make 2 orbits. Our next candidate is Salacia. Salacia has an orbital period that is slightly greater than Pluto's orbit, and it has one moon, Hygiea, discovered by Michael E. Brown and his team in 2004 at the Palomar Observatory. Our next candidate is Varuna. Varuna is out past Neptune in the Kuiper Belt, and it's egg-shaped like dwarf planet Hygiea because it's fast spinning. It only takes 6.34 hours to rotate. Varuna is also one of many red solar system objects. Varuna is the third largest kúnll'hòmdímà after Makemake and Quaoar. Kúnll'hòmdímàs are Kuiper Belt objects that aren't in a resonance with Neptune, which means they're not affected by Neptune's gravity. They're far enough from Neptune that they have their own orbit in the outer solar system. Our next candidate is Orcus. Orcus is the fourth dwarf planet candidate from the sun. Orcus has a moon, Vanth, which is probably a captured Kuiper Belt object because it has a reddish hue, unlike Orcus. Vanth is very large compared to Orcus, similar to Pluto and its moon Charon, and Eris and its moon Dysnomia. Orcus is also known as the anti-Pluto because their orbits are opposite. When Pluto is at perihelion, Orcus is at aphelion. Orcus is the second largest Plutino after Pluto. It's similar in size to Pluto, but only 3/4 the size. The next candidate is Chaos. Chaos is a really small trans-Neptunian object, about half the diameter of Pluto's moon Charon. Chaos is the fourth largest kúnll'hòmdímà in the Kuiper Belt, after Makemake, Quaoar, and Varuna. The next candidate is Varda. Varda is a kúnll'hòmdímà with one moon, Ilmari, which are both named after characters from the Silmarillion by the author of Lord of the Rings. Varda is one of many red solar system objects. The next candidate is 2002 MS4. 2002 MS4 is a large classical Kuiper Belt object, which is also known as a kúnll'hòmdímà. 2002 MS4 is oblit-shaped, much like the Earth, which means they're not egg-shaped or quite a sphere. They're like a squished ball that bulges at the equator because of rapid spinning on their axis. The next candidate is Quaoar. Quaoar has one moon named Quaoar. Quaoar is the second largest kúnll'hòmdímà after Makemake. Recently, we found out that Quaoar has 2 rings which are much further away from it than it should be, and no one would have found them if it hadn't been for stellar occultations, which are kind of eclipses when it passed between Earth and a distant star. The astronomers could see the outline of it, where the moon and rings are. So it's one of 9 ringed objects in our solar system, along with Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Rhea, Charon, Charon, and Hygiea. They also have rings too. Quaoar is also one of many red solar system objects. The next candidate is Sedna. Dwarf Planet Candidate Sedna is located beyond the Kuiper Belt in this region called the Oort cloud. Objects that have similar orbits to Sedna are trans-Neptunian objects known as sednoids, which is named after Sedna. The other two objects are the Goblin and 2012 VP-113. Sedna is not just one of many red solar system objects, it's actually the second reddest object in the solar system after Mars. Next candidate is Gonggong. Gonggong was originally known as 2007 OR10. But then astronomers wanted us to vote for these three names. The names were Gonggong, Hall, or Vili, and once the voting ended, the votes were counted and then Gonggong won. Before Gonggong got its official name, we nicknamed it Snow White because of water ice on its surface. But with later observations, we figured out that it's actually red in color, so that name really wouldn't fit. It's one of the reddest trans-Neptunian objects, probably because it also has methane on its surface. Gonggong is located in the Kuiper Belt, but at aphelion it goes beyond it inside the scatter disk, which is a region partially in the Kuiper Belt, but it stretches far beyond it. It's still within the Oort cloud filled with rocky, icy objects. Neptune is responsible for scattering these objects around into highly elliptical orbits. Gonggong is the fifth largest trans-Neptunian object known. It's approximately the size of Pluto's moon Charon, but it has a larger diameter than Charon, and it's actually the largest dwarf planet candidate of all of them, and it has one moon orbiting it named Shanglu. Next is the Goblin, or Lelea Kuanua. The Goblin is out past Neptune in the Oort cloud. It's about 2.5 times farther from the Sun than Pluto. Its discovery can help us find the hypothetical Planet 9, because this was actually discovered by accident. The perihelion of the Goblin is beyond the Kuiper Cliff, along with Sedna and 2012 VP-113. But this one gets closest to the Sun at its perihelion, and it gets farthest from the Sun when it's aphelion. The Goblin is the third sednoid discovered after Sedna and 2012 VP-113. Sednoids are trans-Neptunian objects who have a perihelion that's beyond the Kuiper Belt. The next candidate is Hygiea. Hygiea is a dwarf planet candidate, but also an asteroid, and it's the fourth largest asteroid after Ceres, Vesta, and Pallas. Observations from 2018 revealed that Hygiea is mostly round. So if it was re-promoted to an official dwarf planet, it would be the smallest dwarf planet because it's even smaller than Ceres. Next candidate is Vesta. Vesta is one of the 4 largest asteroids known yet, and it's the second largest asteroid after Ceres. Vesta has differentiated much like the Earth can do. That means it separates into the basic layers like crust, mantle, and core. The Earth separates into the same layers, the crust, mantle, and core. Vesta is the brightest asteroid visible to the naked eye from Earth. Next is Huya. Huya is a Plutino from the Kuiper Belt. Huya is also one of many red solar system objects. Huya also has one moon, which is currently unnamed. Next is 2002 TX300. 2002 TX300 looks a lot like Haumea's shape. Funny enough, it's actually a piece of Haumea. It's part of the Haumea trans-Neptunian collisional family, which is a group of objects from the same collision impact. Next is 2002 AW197. 2002 AW197 is a really large, unnamed Kuiper Belt object. It's a classical Kuiper Belt non-resident trans-Neptunian object, which is also known as a kúnll'hòmdímà. Next is 2012 VP-113. 2012 VP-113 is a sednoid with a pink surface, which has one of the farthest perihelions in our solar system, which means it's farther out than everyone else, even when it's closest to the Sun. The next candidate is 1996 TL66. 1996 TL66 was the first object to be discovered that is from the scattered disk within the Oort cloud. It has a really eccentric inclined orbit where it gets really close and then really far from the Sun. Next is kúnll'hòmdímà. kúnll'hòmdímà is located in the extended scattered disk. It has one moon named Goblin. They're both one of the reddest trans-Neptunian objects discovered.
Next is Charon.
Charon is Pluto's largest moon that is covered in active icy volcanoes. It is also half the size of Pluto, and because of that, it's called a binary dwarf planet because they are tidally locked to each other, so they always face each other.
Next is Dysnomia.
Dysnomia is Erie's only moon, and it's quite large compared to Erie's, just like Pluto and Charon, and they're a binary dwarf planet too. Dysnomia has a reddish hue. That's it for the intro to Dwarf Planet Candidate video. This is just part 1. I'll make a part 2 in the future because there's so many Dwarf Planet candidates. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.